of happiness is learning.
Well, I started to make Daddy Longlegs into a musical because I was attracted to it as a novel. It's a brilliant piece of work by the novelist Jean Webster, fascinating woman who was Mark Twain's great niece, and this was her first major novel, and it's written entirely as letters from the orphan girl Jerusha Abbott. It's a made-up name that she was given when she was in the orphanage. She doesn't know who her parents are or were, and she's sponsored through university by a man she is supposed never to meet. The only stipulation for the sponsorship is that she writes a letter every month to him. And the novel is the letters that she writes. So it's a very simple process. You never meet or you never hear the words of any other character in the novel other than Jerusha's words. So we've gone slightly different from that. We've imagined what the man who she's writing to is actually like, and we've given him things to say, things to sing, so that the other half of the relationship is filled in.
Well, Jerusha is an orphan. She is the oldest orphan in the John Grier home, and she's very innovative and bright and witty, and she's sort of stuck in this orphanage. But an anonymous donor decides to send her to college, so the play follows her journeys at school.
Jervis Pendleton is a trustee of the John Grier home, where the other character, Jerusha, is a resident, because it's a nice way of putting it. And he's basically a philanthropist, a wealthy, well-to-do man who spends his money on people less fortunate than he is, and I guess you could say takes a chance on a girl who has written something that moves him, and he thinks she's someone that could become a writer, and he decides he's going to pay for her to go to college.
The reason this story is so interesting is that the other character is a sort of mirror image of the girl. He's a very rich man. He has enough money that he can throw it away on all sorts of charitable schemes. And he was born with everything. Jerusha was born with nothing, and Jervis was born with everything. And he has to learn how to get on in life with nothing, when how to survive emotionally, how to grow up as a person in spite of being given absolutely everything for free in life. And Jean Webster's point is that it's just as hard to make that journey.
He doesn't truly understand what's going on deep inside of him, and she sort of brings that out of him, which I think is pretty fascinating and pretty lovely story to tell.
I think with all musicals, the first job that you do is to decide which bit of the story can be made into song. Unless you're singing through the whole thing, unless you never stop singing, like in the sort of big epic musicals like Les Miserables, where nobody ever says anything. It's all sung. But this is very much a book musical. So the first task of a composer is to decide which bits of the story can be sung, and which bits can be made into really storytelling songs, and which can be made into real ballads, which can be real torch songs, which songs are in light-hearted major key, which songs are in a minor key. And those are all decisions that Paul Gordon had to take when he was first embarking on the composition of it.
I read it and I thought it was so clever and so sweet and something worth musicalizing. And John allowed me to take the first pass at it, which I sometimes do when we work together, which means that I would create the script and the score as I went along. And then of course once I did that, I would give it to him and he would change everything. And then he'd ultimately write the book, as he has. But I really found the material endearing and very inspiring to work on.
It's extraordinarily beautiful, and I'm most excited about it because my parents gave me my first copy of Daddy Longlegs when I was 10 years old, and it became a favorite of mine throughout my teen years. So to see it fully realized right now is spectacular, and to see what Paul Gordon has done with the music to bring it a real contemporary feel to it, as well as keep the turn of the century elements with it in terms of the different musical styles, I think is just wonderful, and it's fresh and beautiful, and I'm loving it.
I started by just writing proper songs, sort of standalone songs. And, you know, I wrote a lot of the musical on piano, and some of it is very what I would call in a musical theater style. But I got kicked out of my house for a couple of weeks because it was getting fumigated. And the insurance company put me up in a hotel, and all I had was my guitar. And I was right in the middle of writing Daddy Longlegs. And so I started writing some of the songs on guitar because that's all I had access to. So some of them became even more pop, or even, there's even like Graduation Day, we rehearsed it today with the band for the first time. It's a little bit rock and roll, but everything sort of feels like it belongs together. And so the instrumentation is sort of taking it out of the traditional musical theater context and placing it into more of a pop idiom in a particular way that we'll all discover whether it works or not.
There's so much humanity in Paul's writing, and he really has a hold on like the human heartstring, I think. Strings.
I suppose what it says to a modern audience is what it's always said to its readers ever since it was written. It's a story about personal growth. It's a story about how a girl who starts with nothing in life and educates herself and gets to know the world to the point when she can survive in the world without any help, without any attachments. It's a rags to riches story, if you like, and those stories have a universal appeal, I think.
I think all audiences will be attracted to the story because there's something for everybody in it. The main character is a young girl, so of course young girls will absolutely identify with her. But it's also a wonderful love story and a story about someone growing up.
It's all about this intelligent young woman and what she makes of herself, and then how that has an effect on a guy. Sort of just like a romantic comedy. It goes a lot deeper than that, but it has that feel to it. And, you know, we're singing our faces off, and that's always fun too, right?
I would strongly advise people not to watch the movie version. There is a movie, it's from 1930s, 40s, I can't remember which, with Fred Astaire. And it's very, very loosely based on the story, but it's kind of completely upside down. And it doesn't give at all the impression that the original author wanted to give. It's really an excuse to show off the talents of Fred Astaire in it, and so don't feel if you want to mug up on the story that you should see the film, because actually you shouldn't see the film. Read the book if you have to, but even that, you don't have to do that, just come along. It's incredibly simple to understand. It doesn't need any preparation.
The secret of happiness is clear. The secret of happiness is near. The secret of happiness is you.